I understand your point of view of like, okay, you may not agree with certain things that the person says. And I had Tariq Nasheed on my platform. Mm-hmm. It was actually a relatively good conversation, but it wasn't until maybe a couple months later I interviewed Tommy Sotomayor.
Yeah.
And Tariq Nasheed literally burst into the studio to like confront him.
Yeah.
And, you know, this whole situation just turned ugly and disrespectful. I'm like, yo, I give this dude a platform only for him to come and burst into my fucking studio because he got a beef with the dude I'm interviewing. And Tommy saying I set him up, and then Tommy starts recording my phone calls, and I just say, and the Tommy Sotomayor shit, like I didn't really realize him, but once, you know, when I look back at the interview, which I never put out, it was like very anti-black woman. You know what I'm saying? And I just said, you know something? I'm done with this whole fucking genre at this point. All these dudes who are like anti-everything and whatever, and their claim to fame is just being edgy, you know, and don't really have actual talent behind what they do. You know, they're not like stand-up comedians, or they're not artists or basketball players or whatever. I said, I'm cool with all this shit. I removed all the Tariq Nasheed shit. I never put out the Tommy Sotomayor shit. And I said, fuck this whole genre. I'm cool.
And by the way, you know, so in the same almost situation how I got to interview Tate, I almost was going to do something with Tommy. He was down in Miami.
Tommy Sotomayor?
Yeah. And listen, I'm open to doing it, but I remember saying, well, if he's going to be on my platform, it got to be constructive conversation. It can't be like, yo, you're just trying to get off, yo, fuck me, black bitch. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if it's constructive, which I believe he has the ability to do. Now, I do think some of these guys, like, they'll go for the low-hanging fruit in name-calling, in saying certain things that will excite or agitate a certain audience, which just takes away from any positive, you know, because I think one thing that's, Tommy, I agree with him on, is when he says that there is a push to remove black fathers out of the home, and that's very necessary. Just that. Okay. So just that, I think I could have a great conversation with him about. Now, when other things seeps in, which might be biases, might be genuine hate or whatever the case is, I don't want that to basically, you know, destruct possibly a productive podcast, and I think that would just be on me to steer the conversation right, or choose whether or not to put it out if I'm done with it. You know what I mean?
Listen, I had that conversation, and he was like anti-black people. And I was just like, I'm like, the stuff you're describing is not specifically black. It's more about poor people and poor communities. You could pretty much take race out of it, and it applies to a poor community anywhere on earth, but you're trying to specifically say this is black, which I disagree with. And he had a hard time trying to defend that. Yeah. But at the whole time, it's like, I don't need to give someone who's anti-black, anti-woman, you know, anti-whatever, a fucking platform. It's just like, you just do your own shit on your own stuff. And usually these guys' YouTube channels get shut down over this type of shit anyways. You know, like the Alex Jones types, you know, like
Alex Jones.
Yeah, listen, an Alex Jones interview with VladTV would get 100 million views, but I don't want that shit. I don't want someone saying Sandy Hook was all farce. Yeah, it was all fake.
I think that's where it's on you to make sure that type of stuff, like even if it's on a cutting board, don't even make it out. Like,
right, but why even bother? When there's so many more interesting people out there to interview. And it's not like this is all you have access to.
Yeah.
You got access to 21 Savage. You got access to Kevin Gates.
I would love to have that conversation with, and I'm pretty sure we're going to have it, like even about that Atlanta stuff.
Yeah.
And just kind of the role in terms of like where he feels his music plays a part in it. And also, you know, him even putting out that message and the reaction to it. I think we have a great conversation about it. But I'll wrap that up with that type of, you know, whether it's an Andrew Tate or Kevin Samuels, that realm. I do have one critique of it. And I think that, you know, it's a little bit, I don't want to say it's necessarily predatorial, but I think they put it under the guise of self-improvement, but they don't really try to focus on things that really do help men over time. And helping men over time isn't just fucking chicks.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's also having successful families, building families, you know, raising kids. They just stop at the point where you sleep with a woman. And obviously there's a lot of men who, you know, some people call them incels or whatever, who have a problem with, you know, even getting an opportunity to sleep with a woman. So of course they're going to eat that up because it's like those
Makes it feel better.
It's like pickup artists, like PUAs. That was a thing for a while where it's like, yo, I'm gonna teach you how to game a woman on how you could like get her. And I think these dudes, they're watching these guys flaunt money and wealth to say, well, if you're this, you get to treat women like this, but they don't really show the full picture. And I think that's the only problem.